Ambassador Kim Hannah walked through the long corridor of the Galactic Council building. Her shoes made soft sounds on the smooth floor. Behind her, 3 other humans followed quietly. Admiral Park Jun looked straight ahead with serious eyes. Dr. Lee Mina carried a small bag with Earth's information files. Cultural Officer Choi Dae stayed close to the group. The corridor was huge and empty. Strange lights floated in the air without any wires or supports. The walls showed moving pictures of alien worlds with purple skies and 3 suns. Kim Hannah had seen these images many times during her training on Earth, but they still made her feel small. "Remember," she said softly to her team, "we speak only when asked. We show respect but not fear." The big doors opened without anyone touching them. The council chamber was bigger than anything Kim Hannah had ever seen. The ceiling was so high she could not see the top. Hundreds of alien beings sat in floating chairs around the room. The Valkyrie looked like jellyfish made of light. They had no solid bodies, just glowing energy that changed colors when they thought different thoughts. The Threnody were huge creatures made of living crystal. Their bodies sparkled like diamonds, and their voices sounded like thunder from far away. Many other alien species filled the chamber. Some looked like giant insects with silver wings. Others were round like balls with many small arms. A few had long necks that bent and twisted like snakes. Kim Hannah felt her heart beat faster, but she kept her face calm. 50 years of work by all Earth's people had led to this day. Humans had stopped fighting wars. They had cleaned their planet. They had learned to work together as one species. A Valkyrie near the front of the room began to glow brighter. Its light changed from blue to white, which meant it was speaking for all the others. "The species called human wants to join our council," the Valkyrie said. Its voice sounded like wind through glass. "We have looked at their request for 1 full year." Kim Hannah stepped forward a little. The floor under her feet felt warm and soft. She could see her reflection in the crystal bodies of the Threnody delegates. "We have read about their history," said a Threnody whose crystal body was dark red. "This species fights many wars. They hurt their own planet. They kill their own kind for land and resources." Kim Hannah felt her team move slightly behind her. She knew they wanted to defend humanity, but this was not the time to speak. "Honored council members," Kim Hannah said, her voice clear and strong, "humans have made mistakes in the past. This is true. But we have learned from these mistakes. We have no more wars on Earth. All humans work together now. Our technology can help other species in the galaxy." Several aliens made sounds that might have been laughter. The Valkyrie speaker's light flickered in a pattern that Kim Hannah recognized as amusement. "Young species always say this," the speaker replied. "You think you have changed, but your nature stays the same. When trouble comes, you will fight and kill just like before." Dr. Lee Mina took a small step forward. Her scientific work had earned her the right to speak to the council. "Respected beings," she said politely, "perhaps our differences could help the council. Humans solve problems in new ways. We adapt quickly to changes. These skills might be useful for galactic challenges." A massive Threnody whose crystal body was bright blue spoke with a voice like rocks falling down a mountain. "Your adapting is just another word for chaos," it rumbled. "Civilized species value order and peace. Humans bring disorder wherever they go." Kim Hannah watched as more aliens began to speak. Each one said the same thing in different words. Humans were too violent. Too unpredictable. Too dangerous. The vote happened quickly. Each species pressed a crystal button on their floating chairs. Red lights meant no. Green lights meant yes. Kim Hannah watched as red light after red light appeared in the chamber. Not one green light showed. The Valkyrie speaker's body glowed bright white as it gave the final answer. "The Galactic Council says no to human membership. We think humans are not ready to join civilized species. Perhaps in a few hundred years, you can try again. First, you must learn to be truly peaceful." The aliens began to leave their floating chairs. Most did not look at the human delegation. A few stared at them like they were looking at dangerous animals in a cage. Kim Hannah gathered her dignity around herself like a warm coat. Admiral Park Jun's face was red with controlled anger. Choi Dae looked at the leaving aliens with sad eyes. Only Dr. Lee Mina seemed thoughtful instead of upset. As they walked back through the long corridor, Lee Mina whispered to Kim Hannah. "Did you notice something strange? They said our biggest problems are that we adapt quickly and fight when needed. But those same things helped humans survive on Earth when other species might have died." Kim Hannah nodded slowly. The council had made their choice clear. They thought humans were too dangerous for their ordered galaxy. But as she looked out at the stars through the building's windows, She wondered if the council really understood what they had just turned away. The trip back to Earth would take many months. That was plenty of time to think about what humanity should do next. The council had closed their door, but the galaxy was huge and full of empty spaces where humans might build something new. Director Oh Sung sat in his office looking at reports that came to his desk every day. 3 months had passed since Ambassador Kim Hannah returned from the Galactic Council with bad news. The aliens had said no to humanity joining their group. But what happened next surprised everyone. "The new colony plans are ready," said Administrator Yoon Soo as she walked into the office. She carried a small device that showed pictures in the air. The pictures were maps of star systems with red and blue dots marking different planets. "We found 43 star systems that the Council aliens ignore," she continued. "They think these places are too dangerous or have nothing valuable. Perfect for us." General Nam Ki leaned forward to look at the floating maps. His job was to protect Earth and its people. "These systems have high radiation and poisonous air. The aliens probably think no one can live there. That makes them perfect for humans," Oh Sung said with a small smile. "Dr. Kang Yuri, how is our new technology coming along?" The scientist's eyes became bright with excitement. "Very good, Director. When we stopped trying to copy Council technology, our engineers found new ways to solve problems. Our new space engines are not as pretty as alien engines, but they work better and are easier to fix. Our living spaces can work in places that would need huge alien machines to support life." Oh Sung felt proud. After the Council rejected humanity, Earth's leaders made a choice that surprised everyone watching from space. Instead of getting angry or building weapons to fight, humans simply turned away from the Council and focused on themselves. "Minister Bae Hoon, how are our trade talks going?" The Trade Minister looked at her notes and smiled. "Better than we hoped, Director. Many small alien groups and frontier colonies want to buy human goods. The big council ignores these markets because they are too small or cause too much trouble. We are finding many trading partners who like our flexible way of doing business." Ambassador Kim Hannah now had a new job as Director of External Relations. She added her thoughts to the discussion. "The Council still watches what we do, but they think our expansion is typical primitive behavior. Their smart people predict we will hit natural limits in a few decades and be forced to ask for their help." "Let them think that," Oh Sung replied. "How many colonies are we building now?" 16 main settlements, with 30 more sites being prepared, Yoon Soo reported. "The interesting thing is how fast our colonists adapt to new environments. The harsh conditions that made these worlds unattractive to Council species are actually making our people more creative and innovative." General Nam Ki showed footage from New Busan, humanity's mining colony in a distant star system. "Look at this. The colonists changed standard air-making machines to work in the planet's methane atmosphere. Council species would have changed the entire planet's air first, which takes hundreds of years. Our people just adapted." Dr. Kang Yuri nodded with enthusiasm. "That is exactly what I mean about our different approach. Council species develop one perfect solution and use it everywhere. Humans develop hundreds of imperfect solutions and make them better quickly. It is messier, but it also survives better." Oh Sung stood up and walked to the big window that showed Earth space construction yards. Work ships moved like busy insects, building the next wave of colony ships and exploration vessels. Each ship was smaller and less advanced than Council ships, but they could be built fast and changed easily. "The Council sees our expansion as chaotic and unsustainable," he said thoughtfully. "They are measuring us against their own development patterns. But we are not trying to build their kind of civilization." "What kind are we building?" Kim Hannah asked. Oh Sung smiled as he watched a new colony ship leave for the outer edge of the galaxy. "A human one. Messy, adaptable, and stronger than they think." Every month, new reports arrived showing humanity's growing presence in corners of the galaxy that others had ignored. The Council's attention stayed focused on their main territories and established trade routes. They had no idea that humanity was quietly building something new in space. While Council species spent decades planning perfect colonies, humans scattered to dozens of worlds and made them work with whatever they found. When alien traders demanded complex contracts, human merchants made simple handshake deals that built trust over time. The Council had rejected humanity because they were too unpredictable and chaotic. But those same qualities were exactly what made humans successful in the wild, unexplored regions of space. Director, Yoon Soo said, looking at her latest reports, "Our deep space scouts have found something interesting. There are entire regions of space that Council species marked as unsuitable for civilization." but our preliminary surveys show they are rich in resources and perfectly habitable for humans. Oh Sung nodded. The galaxy was vast, and the Council controlled only a small portion of it. They had built their civilization in the safest, most comfortable regions of space. Everything else they had dismissed as too difficult or too dangerous. For humans who had survived ice ages, wars, plagues, and environmental disasters on Earth, these impossible worlds were just another challenge to overcome. Continue the expansion, Oh Sung ordered. The Council wants us to prove we are civilized. Let us show them what human civilization looks like. Captain Lim Tai steered his cargo ship through the floating rocks around New Jeju Station. He could hardly believe how much had changed in the 15 years since the Council aliens had said no to humanity. What started as a desperate mining operation on a dangerous, radiation-filled rock had grown into a busy center of human activity. New Jeju Control, this is the cargo ship Han River asking for permission to land, he spoke into his radio. Han River, you can use Bay 7. Welcome back, Captain Lim. How was your trip to the neutral zone? Lim Tai smiled big. The neutral zone was a part of space too politically messy for the Council to control. It had become one of humanity's most profitable trade routes. Very successful, Control. The Kitharai aliens really want our portable fusion reactors. As his ship landed in the docking bay, Lim Tai thought about the amazing changes he had seen. New Jeju had been built in a star system the Council had looked at and called economically worthless. The main star sent out irregular bursts of energy, and the system had lots of radioactive materials that made it dangerous for most alien species. For humans, it had become a gold mine. Station Administrator Cho Minute met him at the ship's door. Her protective suit showed the comfortable wear of someone who had spent years working in conditions that would kill most Council species. Captain, good to see you again, she greeted him warmly. How many star systems did you visit this time? 7, including 2 new ones that do not appear on any Council maps, Lim Tai replied, following her through the station's hallways. Through the windows, he could see the results of human creativity everywhere. Mining platforms that worked during the system's radiation storms, homes built inside asteroid clusters, and the distinctive angular lines of human engineering. The survey teams keep finding them, Cho Minute explained. Apparently the galaxy is full of places that are too difficult for civilized species to bother with. They walked through the main area, a busy place filled with humans and various alien species who had begun working with human colonies. Lim Tai recognized people from a dozen different worlds. These were species that the Council either ignored or considered too primitive for serious diplomatic relations. Dr. Park Seon's latest report just came in, Cho Minute continued, leading him toward the administrative section. The planet-changing project on New Incheon is ahead of schedule. Instead of trying to completely reshape the planet like Council species do, her team is working with the existing ecosystem. It is actually improving the planet's natural systems while making it livable for humans. Lim Tai nodded, familiar with the revolutionary approach human scientists had developed. Rather than forcing their will on hostile environments, humans had learned to adapt alongside them. The results were colonies that could thrive in conditions no Council species would consider livable. How many worlds are we operating on now? He asked. Last count was 97 main colonies and over 200 mining or research stations, Cho Minute replied. And that does not count the mobile habitats or the deep space facilities. They entered Cho Min's office, where a massive three-dimensional display showed how far human expansion had reached. Green markers showed established colonies, yellow showed settlements under development, and blue marked the exploration fleets pushing ever further into uncharted territory. The Council finally started paying attention last year, Cho Minute said, changing the display to show Council territory in red. Their intelligence services have been trying to understand our expansion pattern. Lim Tai studied the display, noting how human settlements formed a complex web throughout regions the Council had left empty. What did they decide? According to our contacts in Council space, they believe we are following a primitive expansion pattern driven by running out of resources and too many people, Cho Minute smiled. They expect us to hit natural limits soon and be forced to ask for their help. They still do not understand us, do they? Lim Tai observed. Not at all. They are measuring our civilization against their own development models. Council species expand slowly, establish perfect settlements, and integrate everything into their unified galactic culture. They cannot understand a species that spreads quickly, adapts constantly, and maintains unity through diversity rather than conformity. Through the window, Lim Tai watched a human exploration vessel leave for the galactic rim, its destination unmarked on any council chart. In the distance, construction crews worked on expanding the station's docking facilities to handle the increasing traffic. The really interesting development, Cho Minute continued, is how many non-council species have started working with us. It turns out there are a lot of civilizations out there that never quite fit into the council's vision of galactic order. Lim Tai nodded thoughtfully. His trading routes had introduced him to dozens of such species. Worlds that were too independent, too primitive, or too alien for the council's tastes. Many had proven to be valuable partners for humanity's growing network. Any word from Earth about the council's reaction to our growth? Director Oh Sung's last message indicated they are still officially ignoring us, Cho Minute replied. But their border patrols have increased, and they have started asking questions about human activities in neutral territories. Suddenly, an alert sound came from Cho Min's communication system. She activated the display, showing the image of another human station administrator from the far side of human space. Priority message from New Mokpo Station, the figure announced. We have detected massive energy signatures at the galactic rim. Something big is coming through from outside our dimension. We are sending scout ships to investigate. Cho Minute and Lim Tai looked at each other with concern. In 15 years of expansion, humanity had encountered many strange things, but this sounded different and dangerous. Admiral Park Jun stood in the emergency command center deep under Seoul, watching the big screens that showed the galaxy burning. 3 months had passed since the first reports from the edge of space, and things had gotten much worse than anyone thought possible. Status report from the Council Defense Fleet, Communications Officer Hanun said, her voice tight with worry. The Valkyrie Third Fleet has been destroyed, she continued, reading from her displays. The Threnody defense stations at Crystal East Prime went silent 6 hours ago. Council forces are running away from the outer territories. Defense Minister Kwon Hak studied the battle maps with serious eyes. The red markers showing Void Seeker attacks now covered nearly 1/4 of the galaxy's outer edge. Everywhere they appeared, civilization simply stopped existing. Dr. Song Hyun, what do we know about this threat? Park Jun asked. The alien life scientist looked very tired. She had spent weeks studying every piece of information that escaped the advancing darkness. They are unlike anything in our files, Admiral. The Void Seekers appear to be creatures from another dimension made of pure destruction. They do not conquer or occupy. They consume matter, energy, information, everything. How are the Council fleets doing against them? Song Hyun's face became even more troubled. Very badly. Council military strategy is based on thousands of years of normal warfare between known species. Their plans assume enemies that follow predictable patterns and have understandable goals. The Void Seekers do not follow any pattern we can understand. Intelligence Director Ryu Na stepped forward, her reports showing an increasingly terrible picture. Our sources in Council space report complete chaos. Species are abandoning their colonies and running back to their home worlds. The unified command structure is breaking down as each civilization focuses on protecting only their own territory. Park Jun nodded grimly. The Council's greatest strength, their ordered, predictable approach to government, had become their greatest weakness when facing a completely alien threat. What about our colonies? How are our people responding? That is the interesting development, Kwon Hak replied, changing the display to show human territory. Our edge colonies are not running away. The settlements at New Ulsan and New Gwangju have actually reported successful fights against Void Seeker scouts. Song Hyun looked up from her data tablets with surprise. Successful? Admiral, these creatures have destroyed Council fleets that had technology decades ahead of our own. Show me the battle reports, Park Jun ordered. The display changed to show recordings from the New Ulsan fight. Human ships, smaller and less advanced than their Council counterparts, moved between the dark shapes of the Void Seekers like insects attacking giants. Instead of the careful battle formations used by Council fleets, the human ships moved in seemingly random patterns. Captain Jung Woo's report says the key was being unpredictable, Kwon Hak explained. The Void Seekers appear to learn quickly from consistent attack patterns. Council fleets use standard tactics, making them easy to counter. Our pilots improvise. Park Jun watched the footage with growing understanding. A human destroyer, its hull burned and systems failing, suddenly turned around and crashed into a Void Seeker ship. The creature, apparently confused by such an irrational tactic, failed to adapt quickly enough and was destroyed in the collision. They are learning machines, he realized. Perfect against opponents who fight by the rules. But humans do not fight by the rules, Song Hyun added, her scientific mind understanding the implications. Our combat doctrine is based on adaptation, improvisation, and acceptable losses. Every battle is fought differently. Communications Officer Han-Un's control board lit up with incoming messages. Admiral, we are receiving emergency communications from Council territory. They are asking for help. The main display showed the image of a Valkyrie Council member, its energy field flickering with what humans had learned to recognize as desperation. Earth Command, I am Speaker Veltarun of the Galactic Council Emergency Committee. Our defensive lines have collapsed. The Void Seekers have broken through our main territories. We formally request immediate military assistance from human forces. The command center became completely silent. After years of rejection and dismissal, the council was asking humanity for help. Connect me to all human colonies, Park Jun ordered. Priority 1 communication. Within minutes, three-dimensional images of human administrators, ship captains, and colony leaders filled the display. From New Busan to the furthest edge stations, humanity's scattered civilization stood ready. Citizens, Park Jun began, the galaxy faces a threat that could destroy everything. The council has asked for our help. I will not order anyone to risk their lives for those who rejected us, but... Admiral, interrupted Captain Kim So from her Edge Patrol vessel, my crew volunteers. These things are not going to stop at council borders. New Mokpo Station reporting ready for combat operations, added another voice. Mining Fleet 77 standing by. One by one, across the vast network of human settlements, the same message echoed, humanity would stand and fight. Park Jun felt something tight in his chest, the same feeling he had experienced when Ambassador Kim Hana returned from the council's rejection years ago. But this time, it was not shame or anger. It was pride. All units, prepare for Operation Outreach. We are going to show the galaxy what humans do when civilization itself is at stake. In the deep cold of space, human ships began moving toward the darkness. They carried no illusions about their chances, but they carried something the council had lost, the willingness to fight impossible odds for people who had never accepted them. The galaxy had rejected humanity as too chaotic and unpredictable. Now those same qualities might be the only thing that could save everyone. Captain Baek Yoon guided her battle cruiser through the wreckage that had once been the council fortress world of Harmony Station. Around her, a mixed fleet of human vessels and surviving council ships prepared for what military analysts were calling the last battle of galactic civilization. All ships, this is Fleet Commander Park Jin. The voice came through the radio system. The Void Seekers have gathered their forces for a push toward the galactic core. If we do not stop them here, they will have a clear path to the Council homeworlds and Earth itself. Through her window, Baek Yoon could see the enemy formation approaching. It looked like a moving mass of darkness that seemed to eat the light of nearby stars. In the 3 months since humanity had answered the Council's desperate call for help, they had learned much about their enemy. The Void Seekers were indeed learning machines, but their strength was also their weakness. Human vessels, spread out to attack Formation Chaos 7, Park Jin ordered. Council ships, stay in defensive positions around the civilian evacuation fleet. Baek Yoon smiled grimly at the formation name. In the early days of the campaign, human tactical officers had stopped using traditional formation names. Instead, they had adopted names that reflected their true strategy: chaos, mayhem, confusion, disorder. What the Council had once seen as humanity's greatest flaws had become their salvation. Captain, her communications officer Lee Jun called out, we are receiving a message from the Council command ship. The main display showed the image of Admiral Zefkar, a Threnody commander whose crystal features had been scarred by weeks of desperate combat. Human vessels, our tactical computers cannot predict your movement patterns. Please send us your battle plan for coordination purposes. Baek Yoon looked at her tactical officer, Nam Ray. Tell the Admiral we do not have a battle plan. We are making it up as we go along. The Threnodies' confusion was clear even across species lines. Council military doctrine relied on detailed planning, computer modeling, and predictable execution. The idea of entering combat without a predetermined strategy was impossible for them to understand. Void Seeker formation is adapting, Nam Ray reported. They are preparing defenses against the Council ship patterns they learned from previous fights. Perfect, Baek Yoon replied. Signal the fleet, begin Operation Pandemonium. What followed would be studied by military historians for centuries to come. The human fleet scattered in all directions, each ship following its captain's individual judgment rather than coordinated orders. Some vessels attacked head-on with reckless abandon, others circled at maximum range launching random missile volleys, still others seemed to retreat only to suddenly reverse course and ram Voidseeker constructs. The Voidseekers, designed to adapt to patterns and predict behavior, found themselves facing an enemy that had no patterns to learn. Every human ship fought differently. Every engagement followed different rules. Every tactical decision was made by individual commanders responding to immediate circumstances rather than predetermined doctrine. "Captain, we have got 3 Voidseekers coming toward us," Namre announced. "Navigation, plot a collision course with the largest one," Baekhyun ordered calmly. "Captain, that is suicide." "Maybe. Or maybe they will think it is a trick because no rational commander would sacrifice their ship for a single kill. Weapons, charge all forward batteries. If we are going to ram them, let us make it count." The Soul's fire accelerated toward the massive Voidseeker construct, her engines pushing beyond safe limits. At the last moment, as the entity began to change itself for the expected collision, Baekhyun smiled. "All stop. Emergency reverse. Fire everything." The sudden deceleration threw everyone against their restraints, but the maneuver caught the Voidseeker completely unprepared. The construct had configured for impact absorption, leaving its energy matrix vulnerable. The Soul's fire's full weapons payload struck at point-blank range, and the entity dissolved into fading darkness. Across the battlefield, similar scenes played out as human unpredictability confused the Voidseeker's learning algorithms. Ships that should have been destroyed survived through impossible maneuvers. Attacks that should have failed succeeded through sheer audacity. "All vessels, this is Commander Park Jin," the fleet leader's voice carried a note of amazement. "The Voidseeker formation is becoming unstable. They are having trouble adapting to our creative tactics. Press the advantage." Dr. Kim Young, monitoring the battle from the scientific vessel New Sejong, watched her instruments with growing excitement. "Captain Baekhyun, we are reading massive instabilities in the Voidseeker network. Their collective intelligence appears to be breaking apart." The tide of battle began to turn. The Voidseekers, masters of adaptation when facing predictable enemies, found themselves paralyzed by humanity's refusal to follow any logical pattern. Their learning algorithms, designed to find order in chaos, instead found only more chaos. "This is impossible," Admiral Zefkar's voice came over the communications. "Your tactics violate every principle of military science." "That is the point," Baekhyun replied as her ship dove between 2 massive Voidseeker constructs, firing wildly in all directions. "We are not following military science. We are following human instinct." As the last Voidseeker construct collapsed into dissipating energy, a strange quiet fell over the battlefield. The darkness that had threatened to consume the galaxy was gone, destroyed not by superior technology or careful planning, but by humanity's greatest weakness turned into their greatest strength. In the aftermath, as rescue ships searched for survivors and council leaders tried to understand what had happened, one truth became clear: the galaxy had been saved not despite human chaos, but because of it. The council had rejected humanity for being too unpredictable. Now they owed their very existence to that same unpredictability.